We still didn't have a lot of information. We just knew that he was missing.
What do you mean you don't know where Eric is? It did not make sense.
He wouldn't go that long without letting us know he was okay.
We did a lot of growing together because I was a very young mom. He taught me more about myself and about what you spend your energy on during the day and what you don't. At 1 year old, Eric John would just be paging through like a little cardboard book. He made life easier for other people. He was the big brother, took that role very seriously.
His family was important to him, and he made that known.
He wanted so desperately to do the Marines that he finished his 4-year degree in 3. So there's no stopping him from doing that.
He went to boot camp, and then he went to Missouri for MP training, and we went down there for graduation. He was the Distinguished Honor Graduate and was chosen to go to canine handling school.
Physically, he was, he would excel physically, and mentally he was strong enough where he could do anything.
He big passion with animals, with people, water, everything. He was fascinated by this world. He loved swim lessons. I mean, he was always trying to, hold his breath the longest or swim the furthest. We had started an end of the school year camp out party. And Eric John had called and said, "What are you guys doing this weekend?" And I said, "Well, it's the end of the year school party." He said, "Call me as soon as everybody's out there and we'll party together." So as soon as I got into the camper, my phone rang and I thought, "Oh, there he is." But it was a weird number. So I was like, well, it's local, so I picked it up.
I was struggling with a smoker. It was just a normal day. And Clara, my youngest, she comes out and says, "There's 2 police at the door." I went to the door. I saw the uniform. A pit just opened up in my stomach.
All I caught was the word Marine. So the guy said, "Can we meet?" And I said, "Can we do this another time?" He goes, "No, if you can do it now, that'd be great." And I was like, okay. So I was going to, not being disrespectful, but finish my can, tell them, get started with eating, I'll be back. But then my phone rang again and I looked down and it was Marcos. I pushed decline. Because then I started trying to figure out in my brain, what did that guy say on the phone? Then I went out of the camper and I looked at my sister Jackie. I said, "I need to go back to the farm. There's Marines at the house." I was pulling up on this gravel and I saw the backs of 2 uniformed men. And then I was like, Eric is surprising me. This was a joke. He was going to be able to be home. He was fooling me, like to call him during the end of the year stuff. And then they turned around as I pulled up in the driveway, and none of them were Eric. I was frozen because if I got out, it meant that I just needed to hang on to exactly how my world was for 5 more seconds. The 2 gentlemen asked if they could come in, and then he started reading a report, and it didn't make sense. What do you mean you don't know where Eric is? It did not make sense.
He told me that Eric was missing. He told us the Japanese Coast Guard and basically everybody was looking for him.
The next morning I was upstairs and I said, "God, You know every blade of this grass, and you know every leaf of these trees, so you know where my boy is. Just hold him there until he's found. Just that's all you gotta do. Because I had my bag packed to go to Okinawa because I was going to find him. I'm going to find him. And one of my friends that was here called upstairs and said, Jess, someone's here for you. And Gunny Sargent had come through this door, and he nodded, and I gave all the praises to God. And I said, you found him? And he said, yeah. And so we got our boy back. So then I said to Gunny Sargent, I said, where's he going? And as soon as he knew, he told me it was Hawaii, and I got tickets for Hawaii because I was going to get my boy. And so I flew down to Hawaii. The next morning I saw Eric John, his plane come in. Then he was transported, medical examiner. And I told HM1 that I am Eric John's mom, and I want to see him. And I told him all about Eric John. And when HM1 came to the hotel that morning, he said, ma'am, everything you told me about Eric John tells me that he is very protective of you and his family. And he said, so I would never, ever tell you that you can't go visit your son. He said, but I will tell you that I don't believe that Eric John would want you to go see him. He said, so what I want you to do is I want you to open up your phone. I want you to hand it to me. He said, I'll be back in 20 seconds. He said, it's as good as it's gonna get. And so he went in there and he took pictures of his beautiful tattoos. What a gift it was, though, to be able to see without being able to see. Then we all got ready to come home, and to be able to be on the same plane as him, bringing him home. It was the best I was gonna get. And it was the best that I could do for my boy.
You know, just seeing all the people that were on the side of the road, holding up flags and pictures. And all the, you know, police cars and sirens, and fire trucks and ambulances. Just everybody just paying tribute.
I don't know how to describe it. It was just like, we're here. Your boy matters. We care. So for Eric John's birthday in November of 21, I had flown to California. One of the Marines that knew Eric John was there, and he had placed a cross on the top of First Sergeant's Hill. I was climbing the hill and I was really tired. But then I looked behind me and I was like, but look how far I've come. I'm gonna just keep going, and I'm gonna just do this hill like I was doing life at that moment, one step at a time, with love in my heart, and it was gonna get me to the next spot. So I'm climbing this hill, and this thought comes in my head: go to Japan. And nobody's going to Japan, so I just keep climbing that hill. The Marine who had placed the cross there climbed it with me, as well as his mom. And so we climbed that together, one mom with her Marine, and another mom going towards her Marine. Over the next few weeks, I kept getting this incessant thought of go to Japan, and I kept bashing it down, and then finally I thought, fine, I'll throw it into the universe. So I Facebook messaged Lieutenant Lucchese. I said, hey James, if I can get to Okinawa, will you show me all the spots? And he said, yeah, if you can get here. And I bought my tickets, and I landed in Tokyo. Finally I got up to the customs. So a gentleman came out of this office and he said, why are you here? And I looked at him and I said, I want to see where they found my boy. And he said, I understand. And that moment I thought, the consulate in Chicago got me to Japan, and this gentleman got me into Japan. And that's where I got on my flight to Okinawa and flew into Okinawa, and Lieutenant Lucchese and his wife Tanya met me at the airport. I was able to meet and hug the individuals that had spent time. They had heard his voice, all the things, all the energies. They were the last ones with my boy, and so I was gathering that all up. My trip to Japan was a gift, all of it. The people, the connections, they all brought my boy closer. It was the first time that I felt like I was gaining a little bit of ground. Because when you lose so much of yourself, you don't know who you are anymore, really. Because that piece is missing and you're not whole. All those times of me squelching it and saying, no, nobody's going to Japan. Here I was, and this was an amazing way to gather all of my boy up and really bring him home.
I got to feel why he loved this place so much and why he loved these people so much. I did. I gathered up all that energy. And when I got home, I realized why I went to Japan. And on top of that, coming out here, being asked to come and just share Eric John with people, it was an easy yes, right? I didn't know what I was going to say. Talking about Eric John is easy. I can go on for hours. And I was never, told what to say. They just said, will you come out? And I said yes. And of course, meeting Sean and Jason along the way, I was able to kind of figure out they're part of the safety team, right? And I don't know anything about being safe in an ocean. But what I do know is how I feel when I'm taken care of. And I know how I feel as a mama. And so I just wanted to come out and be a mom to these young men and women, and just remind them how important they are. And I feel like that first trip, being able to come out here, I gathered up all that beautifulness that Eric John experienced out here and brought it home with me. And I also feel that maybe go to Japan had to do with this too, because I made connections when I was out here at that point, and so that connection, I have to say, maybe led to the ask of, would you be willing to come out? It all doesn't make sense in the moment, but it's starting to become like a revelation. And this has been a beautiful experience, being able to mom on all these young men and women.
To raise your hand, wave in the sky if you feel like you matter.
Now, I think the opportunity is for others to hear the story and see that this can really happen to you. She is any Marine's mother. She is anybody's loved one who is now at a loss because of an unfortunate accident on the beach. So making it tangible and making it real is what I hope that a lot of people take away from it and understand that they're not immortal.
Be careful, be prepared, enjoy life because there's so much to enjoy, but come back. Be prepared to come back, make a plan to come back. And he did make a plan to come back. He didn't have what he needed to come back though. Because his bag on the beach had everything for him to come home. He was planning on coming home. He didn't plan for the storm. He didn't plan on how to survive the storm. So really be careful of watching out for anything. And I think my biggest thing, I did it with the boys growing up, all my kids, using the phrase, practice the pause. What that means is just make sure that you're using what you got in that minute to not make a decision. You need to pause a little bit and think about it a little bit. Just practice the pause. And that had to do with reactionary emotions sometimes, really thinking if this is a good choice.
So yeah, I'm just a mom, just loving and hoping that people know they matter and that I want them to live life to their fullest potential. He sent me a video of him singing a song while he was strumming the ukulele, and that was pretty impressive.
For